vinyl. And welcome back to the William Barron Show, brought to you by Wix.com, Wix.com. Check them out off of our website. Good stuff. So we were talking about earlier with the vinyl records being for sale all-time high and everything. I was not alive. I think my first vinyl record that I ever got was it was Michael Jackson's Thriller, and then for some reason my parents bought me Like a Virgin by Madonna for Easter.
The whole album?
the vinyl
Or the single?
No, the whole album.
Oh,
yeah, it was the whole album.
You must have really loved Madonna for them to play it for you.
I don't remember ever loving Madonna. I remember loving Michael Jackson. I remember thinking that I could dance just like him and I looked just like him. I remember that phase.
He had a Thriller jacket or the beaded jacket. Right?
I did have a glove. I bought two gloves, and I burnt the other one because that's how Michael burnt his one glove during the filming of the Pepsi commercial, wasn't it?
I believe it was his head.
Or that was his hair. Yeah. No, he flushed the other glove down the toilet, but that didn't sound as much fun as lighting something on fire.
I don't know where that story comes from.
I would look it up. He flushed one of his gloves. That's why anytime you saw him in a music video after I think it was Beat It, he only had one glove.
I thought he just wore one as a fashion statement.
No.
So he lost one.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson
lost a glove.
Replace the other glove.
He didn't want to. Because those gloves were so important to him.
You can't split them up. You can't.
No. So he just rocked the one, and he made a fashion statement.
Dropped it in the toilet.
Yeah. I think.
What have you ever been wearing gloves when you're in the bathroom?
I don't know.
And a glove just fell off.
Well, maybe Webster was looking for something, and
I think maybe his significant other was on vacation.
Yep.
And he needed something to clean up the situation.
Well, he had two fucking gloves, and he lost one, or something happened to it.
That sounds a little fishy. This sounds like a.
But then he only stuck with the one
story.
glove. So I had two gloves, and then I burnt one
In honor of
his burning
one.
his face getting burnt off in the
head.
Pepsi. Fire
It's a Jerry curl. It got
fire just
lit up
sounds
on fire.
It sounds more interesting than flushing or losing
Sure.
or whatever the fuck the story was. But anyway,
So you had Madonna.
I had Madonna
Thriller.
and Thriller, which if I would have kept in pristine condition would probably be worth a lot of money nowadays. I would assume.
I don't know.
As many records of those were sold.
Yeah, that's too popular. Everybody, that'd be like, I got the original Dark Side of the Moon.
Do you have Thriller on vinyl?
My mom had one.
Had.
Well, I'm sure she still has her vinyl collection.
Okay.
But yeah, our house had one, so I didn't need to get one.
I got you.
My first vinyl was Styx. Kilroy Was Here. Domo
Arigato.
Arigato. Mr. Roboto, that's right.
Domo.
Now, did you go out and buy that, or was it a gift, or?
Oh no, I was very, very young, but I loved. Like my mom was very young too, so she watched MTV, which most parents didn't.
No, mine didn't.
So I would Styx would come on, and I would go nuts. And so
Styx.
Yeah. So she would. Well, it was this video with these robots. It was amazing.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
I love this. It's got robots in it.
And then Loverboy would come on, and I'd throw on a headband and dance around with my tight black leather pants. Everybody's working for the weekend.
For the weekend.
Yep.
Craig, what about you? What was your first album?
Well,
Your first vinyl.
Okay, well, let's see. First actual album as far as by an artist where there's songs, Muppet Disco.
Wow.
Ooh.
Muppet Disco album.
They had a disco album?
They did, yeah.
Now,
Were
what do you
these
mean?
covers?
I'll have to bring it. I do not recall what was on it. Yeah. Well, actually, I want to say it was like the Muppet Show, but it was like there was tracks. It was like during that era as far as disco. But I just seem to remember there being disco tracks on
I
it.
want to know what song Rolf sang.
Well, I'm sure it was piano based, possibly a synthesizer. But yeah, I want to say it was like the
Funky Town.
I want to say it was the Muppet Show, but it had disco tracks on it. And then another one was a Batman record that had a story on each side of the record. Those are the first two records I remember having. And then the first actual album by an artist with songs on it, other than
Muppet Babies.
I had that in the 90s.
They were full-grown Muppets, sir.
Yeah, full-grown Muppets. Only a full-grown Muppet. There will not be a small. When we see adults, we'll see their faces, not just to
Their
knees.
legs.
Right. Their striped legs.
Yeah. I loved Muppet Babies. I
I
thought it was
like
great.
Muppet Babies, but it was Thriller. Thriller was the first album.
Thriller?
Yeah. Wow, look at you two.
Yeah.
What a pair.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're 6 years old,
Yeah.
I can't believe
Thrill me.
that my parents actually supported that.
well, nobody knew at the time.
Well, it's pop music.
Well,
was
no, I don't mean like Michael Jackson's
No.
extracurricular activity. I just
Well,
mean like
okay.
having at that time, black artist. I mean, my parents still my
black artist?
Well, my parents called them coloreds for
It
God's
was in the
sake. I mean, it was
50s.
but it was still I mean, back when we were growing up, I mean, it was you still call them coloreds.
No,
I mean,
we didn't.
My family did. I never did, but my parents did.
Okay.
And it was just like it was a really
So that was a sign of their times.
yes. Well, yeah.
Really. Okay.
But and then he's singing songs about Billie Jean and he's dancing and gyrating and slapping his junk like my
They
parents.
did live to Elvis, right?
Well, that's true. No, my dad was a huge Beach Boy. He wasn't an Elvis guy. He didn't care for the whole.
I get the feeling that they got you Thriller, and then they got you Madonna by mistake. Like they went in and they said that Thriller was a big hit with our son. What do you have that's selling like hotcakes right now? And they said, well, this is the hottest album on the charts.
Like a
I'll
virgin.
take it.
Like
they
a
didn't
virgin.
they didn't even look at it.
It just seems like a very picky. I mean, because my parents made me stop watching. They canceled. They called the goddamn cable provider and canceled
Blocked
blocked MTV because they watched the "Don't Cry" video by Guns N' Roses and Slash drove that bitch off the fucking cliff. And my mom saw that one day and she's like, "That's it. You're done with this garbage."
Do you
Well,
have,
she
do you have
saw,
one of those?
She saw how you were treating women.
Well, how was I treating women?
Well, you're sitting there with the little girl from next door and watching that video, and you're like, yeah, that's right.
Come to my car bed. We're gonna drive off a cliff, baby.
Get out of my dreams.
I was always very, very, very respectful to women, except for my mother. Except for my mother,
Maybe
I was a
that's
little
where
tough on her.
She thought you got it from then.
Since your mom was so young, Joe, do you have a story about that as far as like when maybe there was the generation gap?
The generation gap didn't happen until, oh man, I think it happened about when I was 25 or so. My mom stayed with current music, and then right around when I was 25, she was like, all of a sudden listening to nothing but light rock, and it was
Like AC light rock,
AC, Apostolic
adult
Christian.
No,
Oh, adult contemporary.
yeah, there you go.
You
start listening to Rod Stewart or some
totally
shit.
different as far as noise core.
Right around the time Last of the Mohicans came out, she really got into that soundtrack, and I think she got a little mellowed out. She would pump that up.
Last of the Mohicans.
My folks were a little bit older as far as everybody else's folks were, so there was a generation gap pretty quick.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was hiding stuff.
Oh.
And I was maybe 11? Yeah, and there was a Dave Lee Roth Crazy from the Heat cassette where I caught some heat.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And that, by the way, all had covers on it, like California Girls and stuff like that. Didn't get in trouble for Michael Jackson's Thriller album because Jackson 5.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's that there.
you know-
These people are doing drugs. Look at their hair.
Yeah.
Well, you
at
don't
all
know
that
about my
makeup.
Van Halen cassettes and my buddy who made me a mix of AC/DC songs, which changed my fucking life.
Yeah. You know what? I do remember when I brought home Nirvana's Nevermind and Smells Like Teen Spirit's on, and at the end of that song, he just keeps saying, a denial. But it kind of sounds like Bloody Night if you don't know what he's saying. And my mom freaked out because she didn't understand the grunge movement and like, what is this? I don't understand this kind of music. And And that was a big deal. Like, she came in my room. She's like, "What are you listening to?" She, she thought I was going to commit suicide to it or something. I'm like, it's just music, man.
It's just the way it is.
And then I threw on Body Count.
Yeah, much better.
She didn't have a problem with that.
You didn't have a problem with that because, musically it sucked.
Well, Bill's parents didn't have a problem with it because they were talking about the colored people's problems.
Yeah. No, I mean, my parents aren't racist by any stretch of the imagination, but they just talked about it differently, and it was just like, it was really weird that they would buy me two of the hottest records that were out.
And the hottest women.
And they both stood for such things that my parents, like I said, I mean, like my parents were very, very strict as far as what I could listen to. I had to give, like we talked about before, I had to give back the Skid Row album back to fucking Sam Goody, and my mom marched me in there by the collar and yelled at this 18-year-old boy that was just doing his fucking job, and
So
she yelled
this
at
guy
him for selling me.
He sells you
the album
Skid Row.
Slave to the Grind with Get the Fuck Out on it. I go home and I put Get the Fuck
open
Out.
You play it.
Yep, I put it on repeat just because I've never heard anybody say fuck on a record, and I just loved it.
So your mom had never heard of the fact that you can't return open media then?
No, at that time you could. At that time, yeah. I mean, yeah.
How are you going to copy it?
Yeah, there was no way to
You could
do
dub
that.
it.
We could totally dub it.
I didn't know that you could do that at that time. I mean, when that came out.
Look at you now. You're running a studio.
Yeah.
But you don't know how to copy anything.
Well, I didn't at the time, man. I didn't have anything. I had
Maybe
a
that's your- maybe
two
that's
cassette
your-
track karaoke machine.
That's the thorn in your paw. Mass production. You don't know how to duplicate stuff.
It's my Achilles heel. Can I
Pressing
get a copy of this for myself? What?
Guys, I'm going to need you to go ahead and record that again. We're going to have to double up that track.
Can you do that exactly the same again?
We're just
Man,
gonna
you guys are really painting
turn
the
these
studio
out.
in a brilliant light. I appreciate that. Thank you. But no, like my parents would make me send back music and shit, and it's like, wait a minute, you fucking gave me Madonna's Like a Virgin.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What was their problem?
The arguments were always contradictory. Like, oh, they're on drugs. Meanwhile, you just listen to Presley, and how did he die?
Well, the Beach Boys
Right.
weren't on drugs.
Oh, no, not at all. They
No.
were on acid.
Never.
No.
No, they were fried by fucking 24? I mean, my dad would just, or Willie Nelson. My dad would just fucking blare Willie Nelson in the back of the car. We'd be driving for 3 days, nonstop, Beach Boys and Willie Nelson. But I can't listen to Guns N' Roses because the music video depicted Slash driving a chick off a cliff.
And this isn't Appetite for Destruction. This is Use Your Illusion. This is
Right.
Yeah.
This is 91.
Yeah.
Yeah.
92.
Appetite for Destruction I got away with. Not a problem.
Really?
Yep. My parents never had a problem with Rocket Queen or fucking
Really?
Paradise. No.
I'm
never
so
listened-
easy.
Yeah, no.
No problem with I'm. Oh,
No.
Really?
No.
That's is there a stronger debut album in the last 25 years than Appetite for Destruction?
That was pretty.
You could argue there's been a couple that have I think that have gone pretty global, but yeah, that's definitely by far my favorite.
Debut album of a band?
Yeah,
I would think, yeah. I'd say so.
maybe New Direction.
You mean One Direction?
New Direction, One Direction. One Direction.
You knew the Cat and He-Man, and I know that it's One Direction and not any direction or next direction.
Just going to bring this up. I'm the cooler of the three people at this table.